Here now to break down the latest on the 2024 race for president and why Trump is the only man for the job, senior advisor to President Trump, Jason Miller. Jason, I want to get my plane tickets ready for this debate. Where should I go, and when do you think this is going to happen?
Well, we were hoping, since Joe Biden was in New York today, that we would just go ahead and see him maybe down there at the courthouse. But alas, President Trump and the rest of us waited around for crooked Joe Biden, and he never showed up. Eric, when you talked earlier today, when we heard the news that Joe Biden was going on Howard Stern, I just assumed that he'd be joining Beetlejuice and High Pitch Eric and Crazy Alice as the newest member of the Whack Pack. Of course, they need to have a crooked Joe as part of the Whack Pack. But then I see that he's going on for what is actually some sort of structured interview. And I think kind of the buried lead here today is the fact that Howard Stern is now making news because Joe Biden joins his show and says he's going to debate. I mean, definitely you're not the king of all media from the 2000s or the 90s or back in the day when we used to watch. But Joe Biden, I don't think, is ever going to debate President Trump. If he does, I think maybe he'll say at some noon on NPR on some Sunday at some point this summer, maybe on a holiday weekend. But Joe's not serious. And when he wakes up tomorrow and finds out that he said this today, I don't think he'll be very happy with himself.
And so, Jason, how does he walk this back when he himself is, you can hear him, Howard Stern's there, he's the witness, he says he'll debate. I mean, they can't hide behind COVID anymore. I don't think they're going to create another COVID in the next 6 months or so. You never know, maybe they're paying Wuhan Lab to release something. But in the meantime, how do you walk that back, Jason?
Well, I think Joe might just go and claim the defense of the fact that he was on a B12 energy injection and he wasn't thinking rationally, and it was actually a different person who answered, one of maybe his other personalities or people who exist at anything past noon. But I don't know, Eric, how they are going to walk this back. They've already really dug themselves a hole with their adversarial approach to the media. In fact, this week, the New York Times was giving the Biden White House and the Biden campaign a lot of grief because Biden refuses to sit down and do basic interviews, basic debates. The networks have all called for Biden to debate. And so it's going to be real tough for them to walk it back. But I think that's what his team will probably do because they're in a bad spot. You see how Joe is. And even though President Trump has said, you know what, Joe, we're going to make it easy for you. We'll do it between noon and 4 p.m. in the hours where most people say you're usually functioning pretty well. We'll do it in the city of your choosing. And heck, President Trump said, let's do it at the White House.
Yeah, there you go. Now that. In the Rose Garden. That's something I would definitely like to see right inside the Oval Office. Jason, so he goes on a radio show. It's not even TV, so he can read notes if he wants. No one would know any better. He flubs the debate question. He says he was a hot number with the young ladies, and then made some lie about giving it to Secret Service because senators don't have Secret Service. Continues on saying lies about an event that didn't happen where he was arrested. Some young people were arrested protesting. They got arrested for fireworks. He wasn't even there. Who's running the country right now, Jason?
I think most likely answer is probably Kamala Harris. I think that's realistically where we are. And if you're wondering why the country is in such bad shape, whether it's the inflation or the immigration crisis at our southern border, remember, Kamala Harris was our immigration and border czar until she wasn't, because that obviously wouldn't fit in with the wokesters. You see the chaos in the college campuses. Not only the country, Eric, but the entire world seems to be going to hell right now because there's nobody in charge. When you have a weak American presidency, when you have a weak America, the whole world devolves into chaos. That's what we're seeing here. So much even bigger than the problems we're facing. The impact of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris is seen all around the world.
How's he doing? How's Trump doing? I know he called in to Greg's show last night. I didn't get it, but I will watch it. Emotionally, how is he doing? This has got to wear on you after a while. But listen, you and I have been together where he's been around the country a couple times. He'll end up down here in South Florida, and you wouldn't even know it. Joe can barely make it to Marine One without assistance, but Trump has the energy of a young man. How is he doing emotionally, though?
He's doing really well. I'll tell you, this morning I was dragging. I was a little bit tired. It's the end of a long week in court. And I'm not even the one who's sitting up there at the table, and expected that most people would be tired or really ready for the week to finish up. And all President Trump is saying is he's ready to take the fight to Joe Biden. When are we going to debate? Need to get some more interviews going. Looking forward to the rallies that we have in both Wisconsin and in Michigan this next Wednesday. So even on the one day off that President Trump gets during the week, he's going to take advantage of that on the campaign trail. contrail. He's superhuman, I think, as far as his ability to essentially silo off these witch hunts and these personal attacks that Joe Biden and the Democrats are putting at him. And I tell you, if the Democrats thought that this weaponization of our legal system was going to keep President Trump down, I think they really miscalculated on this one.
I don't know who thought of this, and maybe it was you, whoever decided, or him, to go from a court to meeting with those hard hats, those construction workers, those union workers, was brilliant. It was brilliant. They loved him. And I think the rest of the country needs to see that Trump is the kind of guy that can bring those people to the table too, whereas most Republicans, people running for president, wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, you make a really good point, because as you kind of unpack some of these key traditional Democrat constituencies, that communities that they've taken for granted for a long time, whether it be the Black community, the Latino community, you talk about union workers, the working men and women of this country, talk about young voters who are going out and potentially buying their first home and seeing 7.5% interest rates, which are that'll scare you back into renting for the rest of your life. All of these groups are coming President Trump's direction because he has a real simple message. We had the greatest economy in the world when I was president. I'm going to get it back. I'm going to bring it back right away on day one, and he has the plans to do so. And when Joe Biden is there in the White House, and every day there's a gaffe, Eric, every day there's something that is embarrassing. You know, this whole notion of that he can't even walk out to Marine One, the helicopters anymore, without having a phalanx of people all around him to make sure he doesn't trip over or fall. Or you saw AOC leading him around as if he was heading to an assisted living facility the other day. And these are some really bad images. And you know who's licking their chops? Putin, Xi. Yeah. Iran, and they're saying we're going to take advantage of these suckers because they have Joe Biden at the helm, and when, not just figuratively he's asleep at the wheel, he's literally asleep.
Jason, I'll leave it right there. Appreciate your time. Jason Miller, everybody. Thank you.